What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Pop Culture Corner. We're at another episode of Combating Hate, and just what I wanted. What the fuck is my phone doing right now? That's literally insane. It's just playing weird. It's playing my own video, and it won't stop. But we're back to another episode of Combating Hate, and I was talking to Matt Jarbo the other night, and I was like, I really like your takes on these guys, and I would love to have you on an episode because I'm kind of new to this. I kind of study Matt and how he's very neutral in his opinions about these people. Because one of the criticisms I've gotten now that I started this little segment was you're missing the points. You're not attacking the right perspective, like the right things with these guys. You're going after the view counts. You're going after the obvious things, but you're not attacking the base, the core of it. So, I'm really gonna dive into it with Matt today. So I'm really excited. But Nerdrotic is back at it again, moving the goalposts as usual, as these channels do, to keep painting their narratives and making you think that they're telling you the truth, which they're not. A few simple clicks will lead you down a rabbit hole of echo chamber-y clickbait. I don't know if those are the right words, but here to help me today is Mr. Matt Jarbo.
Hey, what's up, man?
Man, when you pointed this video out, I haven't watched this, by the way. I didn't see this. I was going to go, because I was kind of going down the list so I started with Mike Zero.
Mike Zero's like training wheels for this kind of stuff, right? It's like Mike Zero's like the Muppet Babies of shitlords. So like what you've got is a dude who's like, I'm just gonna make up stories. Like I am just gonna make up things, and I'm gonna do it 5 times a day. And we looked at Mike Zero's channel last night on my stream, and he's got 287,000 subs, but he's only getting like between like 2 and maybe 8,000 views per video.
So it's like what, 10%?
Not even 10%. We're talking 10%. Like 4 to 5%. But I will say this though, that's relatively average.
Right.
But he's got his niche. He's got his niche of people, and they come back, and this is what they watch, and this is what they enjoy. And, and part of that same logic, I think, applies to these chuds as well, because with these people, and by the way, I'm not objective. I have facts on my side, but I present them very subjectively, oftentimes laden with swear words and insults because they deserve it. But in reality, though, it's like it's the kind of idea where he creates a narrative and then he keeps repeating it until the audience believes it.
Right.
And that is the same thing that happens here.
Or true it is somehow. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's the thing. Okay, so a lot of it is kind of, in the case of Mike Zero, it's a lot of what if. I think is what a lot of that boils down to, right?
Right.
It's just what if. It's like, what if Lucasfilm did this, and what if this happened, and it creates the idea of a narrative that is really wholly tied to storytelling. He's dabbled in the politics side of it, but
I didn't even know this dude existed until someone was like, "Hey, do Mike Zero." And I was like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Mike Zero. Mike is the kind of guy, like I would honest to God, and I mean this literally, like to sit down with Mike. I'd like to buy him a beer, and I would just like to go, okay, dude, like no bullshit, mask off, right? Like let's just talk about this. Like, right. How do you do it? How do you do, like, do you just put everything in like a random story generator? It's like Mad Libs for Star Wars. Is that how you pull this off? Because like, I'm impressed. I don't watch your content, but I'm impressed that you live it in the way that you do. And even though he's been mocked by Rian Johnson, like on the set of The Last Jedi, they were making fun of him.
Really?
Yeah, because he was putting out videos all the way back then, in like 2016, 2017 and everything. And he's putting in all this stuff, and they were like, oh, shit. All right. Like, they were laughing about him on set, but leading up to The Rise of Skywalker, here's the other part of this too. And this is why this is important. Leading up to The Rise of Skywalker, certain outlets, I believe metro.co.uk and a couple others, were running Mike Zero scoops as if they were real.
Oh no.
And you know, of course, it's always under the premises or the preface of it's a rumor, but they would run it without any kind of, you know, like pushback
tags or anything.
Yeah, I mean, no, they would say it, but it's like, but you're reporting it in a widely spread, you know, magazine or online outlet, and people are going to believe that, rumor or not, it's like, this is something. If you're reporting on it, there's a likelihood of it being true.
And that's
the idea.
And that's one of the problems is of these big outlets is people do look to them for you know, the truth or what's next, what's coming. They go to them for like information, right? So if you're running fake information, that's the start of it, right? That's the start of a bad rumble, because then, you know, the consumer's like, oh, I trust this person to give me the right news, but this person's actually giving me you know, pure speculation, something that's not really true. So then that person walks away thinking it's true, and then, you know, who knows who they spread it to. So that's where like fake news is generated, especially online.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is emotion. It's all emotional driven, right? And that's a lot of what this stuff is. So when you listen to people like Nerdrotic, especially in this video, you can see the groundwork he's laying to like attack other content when it comes out. You can see the type of content, you know, the type of ideas he's out there pushing, you know, not necessarily in this video, but in other videos, he's talked about, like, you know, critical race theory and Lord of the Rings, the show coming to Amazon next year. And you're like, wait, what makes you even remotely think that? And it's like, there's no evidence given.
Together?
He just manufactures it because CRT is something that right wingers are afraid of. You know, like they think that in schools, they are teaching 5-year-old children to hate white people. This is the idea. It's not true. It's not happening anywhere.
You have kids, right?
I have kids. I have kids in, you know, like my 4-year-old is in preschool.
Right.
I mean, no, they're not
in that range.
Yeah, but I mean, my 4-year-old is in school, and I think like they're teaching her about like the differences in skin color. But, you know, that's not to say that like her class is very diverse in regards to the kids who are there, the backgrounds of the kids who are there. And, you know, but again, all of this is all taught, by the way, like racism, sexism, misogyny, bigotry, all of these things are taught. Parents and how they perform it. So when you've got, you know, a guy who looks like, you know, your weird Uncle Krusty Ben, who is in a room full of toys, a lot of which are owned by the Walt Disney Company.
Right.
And he's out there, you know, telling you that the sky is falling because people out there, you know, in higher education are talking about, you know, critical race theory, which is a, you know, an academic thing. You know, people get upset because they don't understand it. And that's what it is. It's all, they don't understand any of this stuff. So they fear it. And because no one takes the time to accurately explain it to them, they you know, they want to hate it. And again, this is how we are as a species. Things we don't understand, we want to kill. We want to destroy. And that's all this is. But when it's tied into your entertainment, your escapism, there is a nostalgia, there is emotion, and it has this deeper impact. And these guys have found really the algorithm of hate that they're able to push. And it's wild. And the fact that it gets spread around to, like, you know, bounding into comics and other outlets that run with that. And guess what? Those websites.
We got this covered. Giant freaking robot.
Yeah. And guess where they all end up? Facebook News, 2 billion people, right? Potentially. Google News, all the other RSS feeds that talk about this kind of stuff.
I never noticed that Facebook really does favor the right wing.
You know why they do?
I didn't,
because all the kids left.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not even making this up.
Over to Twitter.
They went over to Instagram and
Instagram,
and Snapchat, and that was a big thing for a while. But here's the thing people don't realize about Facebook is, I'm trying to remember, like, during the recession, a number of years ago, like a decade ago, it was reported, and I don't have the exact stats, so take this with a little bit of a grain of salt.
Right.
But it was reported that because of the mass layoffs that had happened at the time, and a lot of people who were kind of an older generation were unemployed, you would notice that there would be a massive spike in Facebook usage between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And it wasn't the younger generation that was on Facebook. It was older people whose kids were asleep.
60
Yeah.
year old, 40,
That-
50-year-old white
yeah,
guys.
that were all
Sam
up
just
late.
said it.
Yeah,
Dude, Facebook loves old white males.
Yeah, they do. And those are the ones who were up all night. And those are the ones who, that was their social media feed. That's them connecting with people. And that's them going down these rabbit holes and getting into these groups and these discussions that are outright crazy.
Like, I'm not going to lie. My mom, before she passed away, she was so heavy into the Facebook shit. And my dad is still super into it. Like, when he starts drinking, he just goes on Facebook and like writes weird fucking comments.
Oh, yeah.
Like the weirdest shit you've ever heard too. You're like, how did you even think of that? Like, what are you doing? What, go to bed, you fucking weirdo. But and that brings me to my next point is, imagine that the guy who made this video was your father. And eventually you go back and you say, holy shit, my dad is a weirdo. Like, imagine he has kids, right? Nerdrotic? Gary?
I know he has, I think, a son. I do not know about anything else.
Just imagine his son, right? Or God forbid if he has a daughter, watches what daddy does for content creation on YouTube, because, it's widely available. And it can just be found, with a couple of clicks. And then they see their dad trashing females and just absolutely belittling women on a consistent and constant basis. Imagine having that conversation. Like, that's terrible. Terrible. But with that being said, this is Nerdrotics. All right, so Jaro, can you preface this a little bit? Like what this video so clearly the title is Woke Marvel. They always love these. So you got to have their key trigger words in their titles, right? So Woke Marvel, exposed in big capital letters, destroys in big capital letters, Disney's box office narrative, right? So Here we go. And I've talked about this in Combating Hate before. They love their trigger words in their title, right? Because that's where the algorithm, because you got to triple your keywords. So I guarantee in the description, you'll see exposed, destroys, Disney's box office, woke Marvel. You'll see all those, right? So they're tripling their keywords and they're working the algorithm in order to spread their own narrative. So, Jarbo, what's the big deal with, why is he talking about destroying Disney's box office narrative?
Okay, so obviously, even just based on the first frame here, we can see that that's Simu Liu.
Yes.
And what he's trying to argue is that that the narrative of like that Eternals and Shang-Chi and Black Widow all bombed this year, essentially, and or lost money, and that Spider-Man is the one who wins out because it doesn't have any woke marketing. And I don't quite know, again, what exactly is woke about, well, he says it in here. What it is he'll say in this video, he'll refer to Eternals as just diversity, inclusion, and representation.
Oh, God.
Doesn't give any examples, doesn't give any criticism, really, doesn't give anything, doesn't break it down in any analytical fashion. It's simply just buzzwords that he uses with very coded imaging behind it in order to show you exactly, in order to really kind of lay that subliminal messaging home with the audience.
Right.
And even this right here, because this is a scene from Oliver Twist.
And that's like, he's basically, they're using these kind of videos to tell a story, right? To get you ready for the video that's going to ensue. So
they're trying to use they're trying to use this level of dog whistling as a joke. And that's really what it boils down to. But I mean, give it a watch. It's only a few seconds and see what you think.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Nerdrotics. Oh my God. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry?
Oh my god.
Nerdrotic.com.
What if I told you that Hollywood was still capable of making a superhero film without any fake?
Is it bad that I literally can't stop seeing the penis microphone? Is it just me? Like, I can't stop. It just.
It's very phallic.
What I challenged a couple people, a couple viewers last time that we watched one of his videos, if we could find any women toys. The only one that really stands out is the Cara Dune figure. Most of the other ones are just males.
Yeah,
male
and
superheroes.
the Cara Dune figure is right there on the edge of the microphone, but
Yeah.
his camera's punched in right now, so you can't see it.
Yeah, it's a little bit more focused in this time.
Yeah,
But
what's really
mostly
funny about
males.
that is that Cara Dune is owned by the Walt Disney Company.
Right. Classic. All right, so let's take a look. You wanted me to watch it. How do I do that?
Well, no. What I mean is like, if you want to go down to where it says HD, the settings, and then click playback speed and do 1.25.
Okay.
It gets
slow
there
it down for
faster.
us?
No, that will speed it up for us.
Oh.
Because it's a long video, and there is a lot of times that you're going to want to pause it and go, "The fuck."
Okay. All right, so here we go.
Woke marketing. What? A Marvel film without a single sign of the MCU, filled with the crap.
So the MCU thing drives me insane.
Oh yeah, no, and
Literally
again,
drives me insane.
that's such a weird thing to. It is. It drives everybody insane. It's weird branding because he's trying to argue that having women in something is somehow considered bad.
Yeah.
You know.
And one of his viewers spammed my last video saying that, like, Captain Marvel was boring. Which, listen, I agree. I didn't like Captain Marvel, but I'm not blaming Brie Larson. I think she did her best. He said Wanda's been neutered. Wanda is not been neutered. Her story is literally just unfolding. And wait till you see her in Multiverse of Madness. It's going to explode. She has so much potential, and her character has been really, really critical to the Marvel Cinematic Universe to date. And I'm excited for where her character goes. Echo, yeah, not a huge fan either. But Black Widow had a great arc with a tragic ending, which paved the way for Clint's arc down the road. I think it's all very, very, very good. For the most part.
Crapload of fan service, that thing that I like to call giving the customers what they want. What if I told you the actors in this film were talking about the film and not identity politics or regurgitating the latest virtue signal?
Let me know if you want me to pause it as
Yeah.
well.
Spiderman No
Well,
Way
right-
Home. Leave out
right
all
there.
the woke crap.
He says like, without regurgitating like the diversity and inclusion stuff. But then what does he show? It shows an image of the actress from Eternals, the one who's hearing impaired.
Right.
Right. And also a woman of color. And he talks about identity politics, and he shows Simu Liu because they really jumped on that. They really harped on one thing that Simu Liu said, and then of course completely broke down, cried for their mommies when all he said in response was "lol."
Right.
And that's all they've got. Is just it's not even he talks there
He
about
just
like
literally laughed. He just he put it all together and just laughed. Like, LOL. That's it.
yeah. I mean that's all he did. And then no, he didn't even put it together. He found that image on Reddit.
Oh, it was
and then he
already
just
out.
shared it,
was.
and then
Yep.
and then he just shared it and said LOL. So in regards to this, what we're seeing is him trying to establish the narrative that because the movie had nostalgia and had fan service, and he goes giving the fans what they want, which is again those aren't necessarily the same thing.
Right.
Fan service isn't always considered a good thing.
I'm gonna
Because
do
some
normal for a second.
Yeah.
And then once we get, tell me when we can skip through fast, because you said you
no
watched the 12 minutes, right?
this whole thing is like it's edited super fast.
Okay.
So
So-
he just bombards with shit. Like it's just
Oh, I see Gina.
yeah, there she is right there.
There
Yeah,
she is right there.
yeah.
There's their queen. They're and do you remember when they used to shit on Gina? Like,
Yeah,
do you remember
yeah.
they used to shit all over Cara Dune? Because she beat up Mando. And now
It's such a weird thing to look at this person and go, you're actually a human male.
yeah.
Like and then like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers was in an interview with Chrissy Mayer the other day, And I was watching a bit of it last night on stream. I forgot to timestamp the part where they talked about NPCs who all say the same thing.
Right.
And he's talking about like SJWs and whatnot. And the reality of it is that no, these guys are in fact the NPCs. They all say the same thing. As I talked about this last night on my stream, Gary's kind of the pyramid. He's the top of the pyramid. So whatever he says is generally sets the tone for the rest of them. And they don't want to ever go around that.
So he is Jeremy the top, or is he the top?
No, Jeremy doesn't want to be the top. He was the top for a while, even though it was reluctant. But Gary has taken over. Gary's become far more militant than Jeremy is. Jeremy, in my opinion, is realizing that his time, like he's looking at the long game and realizing that he's got to start building his other endeavors now. Whereas Gary is moving out of California, and I believe he's moving to Texas. And if I have to guess, he's moving to Austin because that's where Alex Jones is.
Yep.
And I mentioned this last night too. It's like, again, a lot of people who leave is he going to San Antonio? Gee, San Antonio is about an hour outside of Austin.
Yeah. So very commutable.
Very commutable to get there. And it's not as much of a liberal bastion as Austin is. But make no mistake, all these conservatives live in Austin, and Austin is essentially, this is the terminology, is a blueberry in a bowl of tomato soup. That is how you would define Austin in regards to his politics. And more Californians are moving to Texas. Now, he might vote.
Rogan, a lot of like 90% of comedians are going to Texas because of Joe Rogan.
Well, they're going there because of Rogan, but they're also going there because of taxes.
100%. Yep.
Like
we just said it at the same time.
Yeah. I live in the state of Washington. There are no income tax here. That does save me quite a bit at the end of the year. But then again, I also, that works for me. Whereas Oregon, there's a 9% income tax that absolutely bent me over the table. And, everything else, but here there's not that. So that, you move places where there's taxes, but also I'm a liberal or progressive, and the state backs that up, which I really enjoy. So I'm happy here, but yeah, that's why he's going there. He's trying to get away from everything while still benefiting, to an extent, but that's going to eventually change when Texas flips blue in the next 10 years.
Dude, like literally if you bring everyone from California to Texas, eventually you're just creating another California, politically at least.
Yeah, and not only that, but its connection to Mexico, and the Latino population in the state is growing. In fact, I believe it tripled from 2010 to 2020, according to the census.
Yep. And
that is why the gerrymandering is such a big deal in Texas.
We talked about that last time. And
so that's a big factor here. And the Republicans in Texas aren't going to relinquish control easily, but eventually it's going to happen. Yep. And then I'm just at that point, heads are going to pop because people out there are not going to know what to do. And who knows, maybe they might actually fix their whole, electrical system and how that whole thing plays out. So the next time there is a freak storm, a lot of people don't die.
Yeah. Cause I mean, dude, we have storms like that on a consistent basis in Massachusetts. And you'd have to be a real fool to pass away during it. You'd have to be doing something stupid.
Texans, right? They just weren't prepared for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I completely understand why they were why the residents were in so much trouble, because the state fumbled that so badly. But yes, let's continue a little bit.
Sure.
And you get a film that's set to break actual box office records, not manufactured ones. Spiderman No Way Home.
I hate to keep pausing so quick.
Yeah, no, I know. He says something. Yeah. What he's talking about there is Shang-Chi.
Manufactured box office success?
Yeah. So for Shang-Chi, because Shang-Chi had a $90 million opening weekend over Labor Day weekend. And they're trying to argue that Shang-Chi is the fifth lowest grossing Marvel movie, or it had the fifth lowest opening, and then people that was back to when they were all arguing adjusted for inflation, which doesn't mean a goddamn thing in regards to reporting the box office ever. And it's, does anyone ever report on adjusted for inflation? No, they don't. So,
for the pandemic, right?
No, ever. When do you ever hear when you go and you look at a movie's box office from, let's say, that's within the last 10 years or whatever, and even before then, no one ever says adjusted for inflation, outside of maybe talking about Gone with the Wind in order to make the argument that it's the highest grossing film of all time. But in reality, In reality, if you want to adjust for inflation, go look at the original box office run of Avatar back in 2009, 2010, what that pulled in initially, and then adjust that for 2021. And all of a sudden that 2.8 goes, or 2.9 goes to 3.5 or 3.4.
Right.
So
right.
it now shoots all the way up again, now being a massive, even more than Gone with the Wind. It's a very duplicitous and disingenuous argument because it holds no bearing. You are literally attempting to argue with fake money that doesn't exist or that never existed in that framework. So what they're trying to argue with this is they're trying to argue that it's simply that Disney manipulated it, that it opened on Labor Day weekend. It opened during the pandemic. It opened with no competition, yada, 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 yada. And that's their argument. And that it still lost Disney money overall because, and he'll make a comment about that here. It's a very quick, very brief argument that has no follow-up. So you're just like, okay.
As a general viewer, right? You're like, oh, okay. What does that mean? Right? At least that's what I would be saying if I was a fan of Nerdrotic and looked to him for information. I'd want to know why and what. Like, what are you talking about here?
Well, the thing is, they say it so fast that you don't have a chance to think about that. The way this video is edited when it comes to the information, it's edited so fast, it doesn't give you as the audience the time to sit there and think,
right?
To process that. So instead, you end up, like you just kind of move on to the next thing. It's one of the reasons why I really hate jump cuts.
Yes.
And like, I can't watch Jeremy Jahns. I like the guy. I think he's very nice. But I can't watch Jeremy Jahns because he uses so many quick cuts in his reviews. It doesn't give me the chance to process what he says.
Right, and it's there's no right. It's all back to back thoughts, and you're like, Jesus Christ! It's like it's overload. That's what they're doing, and this video is like proof of that. It's overload, right? So just consume. Don't think about it. Just consume.
Yeah.
Completely exposes the failure that is Marvel's fake woke marketing in 2021, and it is glorious. As MCU producer Nate Moore makes excuses for the Eternals, which we'll get to in just a moment, I don't want to bury the lead on this one. Spider-Man No Way Home is the second biggest opening of all time in the era of COVID, mask mandates, vaccine passports, fear porn, rapid tests that cost $300 that are a total ripoff. And sure, there are a couple of states that are still free, like Florida and Texas, and I can't wait to get to one of them after seeing the film, which I like, and I'll review in a couple of days.
So again, you notice there, he goes right through like the mask mandates and the vaccine passport.
And he uses Hannibal Lecter as the jump cut mask mandate.
Yeah, and then
that's their belief.
And then the Donald Sutherland invasion of the body snatchers clip. And like as a way to create the fear porn narrative. It's all duplicitous.
I like how he's saying, oh, the fear porn. Dude, it's like, dude, you're creating it.
Yeah.
You're the fear porn, idiot. Like
72.4% of Americans have at least had one dose of the vaccine. And so, and we're going to see that go up over the course of the next couple of weeks. As for the testing, you can go multiple places and get free testing. And that's done all over.
Community testing is a
massive thing.
Is a massive thing across the country and across the world. It's not a new idea.
No, it's so he's there are some rapid tests if you that will cost a fair amount of money. But at the same time, those are, it's like going to, Planned Parenthood. Is that it? And getting free condoms, but you can still go buy condoms in the store,
Right. But it's also like going to Amazon, buying something, right? And choosing to take the free delivery or pay a little extra for the expedited, right? It's still, you can do the free option. That's no problem, right? But if you want it sooner or if you need it sooner, then you do the rapid one, right? Or you do the expedited shipping. And typically if it's for like a company, now we're talking about the vaccine. If it's for a company, they'll pay for the rapid test and you don't have to, you'll get reimbursed for it at least. At least that's how it is in my state. Most companies are offering to reimburse you for the information to be quicker, so they can then either warn the rest of the employees or not. You know what I mean? So, I fear porn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great job, Gary.
It was nostalgia bait. It's also a return to pure escapism, although a brief one. But all of the all of the goalpost moving turned out to be just that, bullshit. Just like a lot of us were saying. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Did he just mention goalpost moving?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that is pot meat kettle, right? Like,
What?
I mean, yeah.
I cannot believe it.
None of it makes any sense. That's the whole point.
Oh my god.
Home opening day is the second best of all time, swings past $300 million global. Now, before I get started, I would like to thank everyone who has subscribed to this channel and supported me and my family throughout the years. We are creeping towards 400,000 subscribers, and this is way beyond my wildest expectations. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, because it really does help the independent content creators compete against the ABCs, the CBSs, the NBCs, the MSNBCs, the CNBCs, and the CNNs. The whole alphabet. That's what we're up against. Now, I tried to find the clip, but I couldn't, because I've done over 500 live streams on this channel.
What's up?
So I always found that clip to be interesting because I skipped past it last night on my stream, but you know, going up against all the different outlets, it's like, you know, again, it creates this us versus them narrative
mentality.
When they still right there, the article he's pulling from is a Deadline article, which is Penske Media, which also owns the Hollywood Reporter, which
really,
yeah. So it's very much like, you know, that is still part of a media conglomerate that you get your information from, and there's no irony on that front either. Like, you know, there's really no irony. They don't understand where they think that all this stuff is not tied into corporate interests, when Deadline is probably the most corporate of all of the high-end trades.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, yeah, brief return. I know 2.5 hours. I know TW.
Can I just talk about something real quick?
Sure.
So when he calls this movie, right, he says Spider-Man is a nostalgia, like money grab kind of thing. I honestly, I haven't talked about Spider-Man No Way Home. I was gonna join Jarbo, but my fucking power went out, and my phone was just I had like 20% battery. It wasn't gonna work. But I haven't talked about Spider-Man No Way Home yet. Our breakdown review with Marvel editor is coming out tomorrow live. So, but that's not what I was mentioning. What I was gonna mention is this was a very deep, touching story, and what I really thought was cool about it was its ability to change tones on a dime. It was a really well told story, and yes, there might have been things that like they were fan service, but I thought they were done in a fashion that was the story was called for it. It wasn't forced. The comedy was timed well. And for the most part, it was like a dramatic action thriller rather than a comedic action thriller. And to say it's a money grab or a nostalgia fan service kind of thing isn't giving it enough credit.
Well, it's not only that, as I said on Twitter after I saw it, it's not only the culmination or you know, of Tom Holland's story, but 20 years of Spider-Man storytelling.
Yeah, it's a love letter to the character.
Absolutely. And it's very much, it shows you that they put a lot of care and a lot of thought into making this, and they wanted to do it a certain way, and they got very lucky to be able to pull it off in the way that they did.
Because one of the actors didn't want to do it.
No.
And, you know, it was it was a struggle to sign this person on. And the chances of seeing this person again are very slim. But the way that we wrap this 20-year Spider-Man, what do you want to call it? Spider-Man
Saga?
Yeah. Because we can call it that now. Spider-Man Saga. It was a touching tribute. Like, I literally had tears in my eyes from the midpoint to the end. Like, just
yeah, I need to watch it again because I was just like so enamored with what I was seeing.
I couldn't even believe it at points. I literally spoke the words out loud when I was watching it with the showcase employees. I can't believe that I am watching this in a fucking movie right now.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't believe it. This is insane. One dude in the first 10 minutes, it's like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, no, they hit it, and they did not let up on the gas. There are some slow parts in the film, but I think they work to serve the character moments. And this was clearly John Watts' best film, and what he's got going on for Fantastic Four has me very excited.
Very excited. I'm so confident in his Fantastic Four film now. It's unreal. But this movie was something else. And to call it anything else but that is a disservice to the film.
Well, and they do that because they have to still temper expectations on their end, right? They'll be like, well, we prepared for disappointment, but what we got was pretty good. And the other side of that is that this movie is so universally loved at this point that by coming out and finding a way to attack it, then they're going to
drive.
It's going to not work well for them.
Right.
Oh yeah, because if they were to come out and attack it, everyone would ratio them. Right.
Yeah,
if they were to come out on Twitter,
right.
Because here's the thing, and I don't want to spoil it, but there's a moment in the movie where a certain thing gets a little flipped around. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
A certain event that what you would expect to happen one way happens a different way.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
And it's like you're telling me like that didn't set them the hell off. Like that didn't giving everything they're saying in this video and beyond. That hasn't been a point of contention and criticism.
Exactly.
And it's like, no, because that is something that if they were to come after, they would lose. And that is a tactful response to not come after the movie right now. Wait for like anything to happen where there's any kind of negativity surrounding it or something like that. And they'll be able to pounce. But in the meantime, it would actually be bad for them.
Okay. That makes sense. So, and you're right. If it's the moment that I'm thinking of, then I do 100% agree with you. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was not expecting that. Not expecting it at all. And I thought it was that's the moment where things change on a dime. Like on a dime, the tone just actually. There's another point too that literally just changed the tone of the film, and I was so impressed with the way it would with the way it pivoted. So let's go back. Yeah. I didn't. By the way, I did not know that Friday Night Tights was hosted on his channel. I thought it was on Geeks and Gamers.
No. It's hosted on his channel, and then I think they upload it to another channel after the fact or something like that.
Okay. Friday Night Tights, where all these idiots come together.
I like what Max calls them, Friday Night Whites.
No, they got a quarter black in there.
3/4 white.
Ago, I said that 2021 needed to be the year of the fan and fan service, that people were sick to death of woke Hollywood. And if they wanted to get some of that very large number of people they have been alienating over the last 4 years back, they're going to have to work just as hard as they did to alienate them in the first place. Or all the Michigas exposition has endured during the pandemic, including streaming threats, day and date window crunching, older demos not showing up, local ordinances, and countless release date changes and eliminations. Sony's Spiderman No Way Home arrives this weekend to save the day. The hope here is that Sony's theatrical window respecting release date not only jolts the worldwide cinema attendance population back into seats as we head into 2022, but also makes moviegoing a habit once again for the masses. No holiday distract.
I'm going to speed it up.
So here's the thing with this, right? What you got to remember about this whole bit right here is that he's trying to play it up like it's the woke stuff. He's using
rainstorm
I'm sorry.
No, so more or less, because this is what he's reading from is a Deadline article, and the Deadline article is definitely a bit more grim in this particular passage. But really, what he's talking about here is that the author is that people haven't been going to the theaters; that they just aren't going as much as they used to. And it is for a multitude of reasons. A lot of it is, it is the Omicron variant. It is everything else. In regards to that, there are, changes, release date changes that happen. Nothing feels set in stone until it's in theaters,
Exactly.
And the other part of that too is that it's just, this isn't, they said the older audience is not showing up, and that's actually a very big factor. You've got the box office's most reliable 18 to 34 crowd. That is very true. I'm 39. I showed up on the first day. A lot of people in the theater were a little bit older because we've been watching these movies for 20 years, because there is a nostalgia built in. There is an audience loyalty, a brand loyalty built in. And the hype was unbelievable for this movie. And that's the thing with, Gary's trying to frame it like this is backing up his opinion that it's just all the woke shit that nobody wanted. But no, it is almost 2 whole years of dealing with this situation that has caused this kind of effect to happen. Now we're at a point, again, with the vaccine being readily available, the majority of people having at least gotten, or 3/4 of the people almost having gotten at least 1 dose, that people are feeling more comfortable, but they are still going to be cautious. Certain things they'll justify. This is one of the things that they'll justify.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you really break it down, right? I remember, when I saw the first Iron Man in 2008, I was in high school, right? And I think a lot of people, we're in my similar boat, right? Similar situations, but there was some older crowd, older people as well. And we have followed the MCU for the past, 10 to 12 years, 10, 15 years. So yeah, like, I don't know if calling out the age range, I don't understand like the significance of it. But it is what it is. A lot of us grew up with the MCU now, and we're going to get older, and the demographic's going to change consistently.
Well, I mean, I was 26 when it came out. So, I remember, I think actually, like, one of the last actual midnight showings that I went to was Iron Man, like actually at midnight.
The first Iron Man, yeah.
The first Iron Man, but they actually opened it that night at 7 p.m. That was one of the first movies that they had opened before midnight.
Yeah.
And I remember purposefully making the choice to go to the 12:01 show. I took my kid sister with me, who was like 16 at the time. I took her with me, and and we had a lot of fun to go see it and at the midnight show.
Fun. Yeah.
It's a great film. And
those midnight showings were like special. They were special, right?
Yeah.
You had to wait up, you had to sleep during the day. You're like, oh, I'm going to go see a movie at midnight. They were like a special thing. And especially for people that wanted to see the movie first, it was a kind of cool thing. Now, it technically opens on Thursday at 3, everyone's there. It's a different, same thing with like Black Friday, but it's really Gray Thursday now.
Yeah, it really, but then again, all that, but Thursday and Friday are still first dollar gross. So
they combine them, right?
They combine them into those numbers.
Right.
Yeah. So they get around that pesky 4-day weekend scenario.
Right.
And then, that's how they're able to market it. Cause that's the reason why they waited till 12:01, because it was technically the next calendar day. That's why they did it. And cause we used to have to wait if we were ever going to do a midnight show at my drive-in, which we did, I think like twice. We have to wait till 12:01. And then of course, like, when I think it was Frozen came out, we had it the night before it came out because we got it in early, and they're like, all right, you guys can run it the night before.
Right.
So they don't care. I mean, the thing is, the studios don't care. They're getting their cash on this freaking movie, but there's still a lot to get to. We should really keep going.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that. We're only 3 minutes in.
Oh yeah.
Headlines will prevent people from heading out, especially the box office most reliable 18 to 34 crowd. And of course, the access media and the mainstream media will not mention the one giant elephant in the room. No woke marketing, no intersectional feminism, no MCU. While Spiderman No Way Home is still 25% a Disney movie, and they're going to make money for it.
Pause that. So, okay. So for one, talking about the woke marketing, not giving any example of what that is again, very disingenuous. But that 25% a Disney movie, what he means by that is the deal that came off of 2019, where originally when Marvel was making the movies for Sony, Marvel wasn't getting a percentage of the box office outside of 5% of the first day gross. Meaning, so Thursday, Friday, they would get 5% of that. That would be their pay for making the movie, but Sony would put up the budget. Now, this time, Sony put up 75% of the budget. Marvel put up the other 25%. And that, of course, is how the split is going to happen. So that was the deal that they came to, and that is more beneficial and lucrative for Disney in the long run. But that's really what he means by that. Of course, he frames it in a way where it's like, oh, it's still 25% a Disney movie, and that's somehow a bad thing. Never mind the fact that Disney had no control over the marketing, no control over the distribution. This is all a Sony property.
Right.
They just happen to share the production cost, and they're getting they made the movie, and they're getting some of the money, and that's it.
Right. Exactly. And they get to have the character in their universe. Right.
Yeah. Well, they get to keep using. Yeah. Whatever the deal for that is, we don't know yet where Tom's going to go back, but yeah.
The way it ended, we can't really even talk about it.
Yeah.
That sucks. Good old Hocus Pascal here.
Oh,
Still going to expose the failure that was Marvel's fake woke marketing, something they're not going to give up on, although they're about to get a lot of evidence proving it doesn't work. I can hear you now. Their woke marketing isn't fake. It's actually woke, and you'd be right. Their belief in it is fake. I don't need to remind you that this is the same company that says believe all women, yet they fired the first little lady to step out of line. This is also the same company that likes to work and thank camps you concentrate in. This is what real success.
What?
So, okay. Yeah. I know, right? So, effectively,
that's a huge thing to say.
That was a big controversy from last year. That was a big thing from last year, where, so for one, addressing the firing of Gina Carano, they never actually fired her. They just chose to not renew her contract. So let's just be very clear about that. And then from there, they the whole Uyghur situation, which is what's going on in China, is that the Uyghurs are a Muslim population, that there's like 1 million of them in camps that are of the concentration variety inside of China, where Disney shot Mulan was not far away from one of those camps. And in that thanking right there, they basically thanked either like the local government or like the security forces or something like that. I forget which one it was, but that was also part of the stipulation of working with them. It wasn't that Disney, but the framing that these guys are trying to make is that Disney was aware of this, and that Disney was okay with this, and that they blah, 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 blah. There's no evidence to suggest that.
Condoned it.
Yeah. There's no evidence that they condoned it. It's just like they made a movie, they shot it in China. That is something that happened with it. And again, I don't like that. I think the camps are stupid. I think the camps are bad. But it's not like, but it's in another country that we have no control over.
We can't, we can't do anything about it. Right.
Yeah. And again, with Gina, even they told her to shut up. She didn't shut up. So they said,
gave her a multitude of opportunity.
Yeah.
To do the right thing. And she didn't. Not the right thing, but when you work with
the
a
smart
company,
thing.
Yes. Yeah. When you work with a company like Disney, even if you don't, I work with a luxury home furnishing company. And if I say so, we had a whole training on this. If I'm on, and they definitely looked at me because they know what I do. They, the training, a lot of it was pointed towards people like me who kind of do shit online, right? They say, you are a face of the company, right? You work with us. Subsequently, you what you say online then reflects us, right? Because we work with us. So here, we don't want you to talk about this, and this because they're hot water subjects. This is not a new thing. It doesn't matter if you work for Disney or Satva.
Yeah.
There are things that you just can't do, that you can't say, or you're going to pay the price. And that's, you're going to lose your job. And that's what Gina did. But they gave her every opportunity. They hired a social media fucking person for her. And she didn't want to fucking smarten her act up. I don't blame Disney. I don't know about you, Matt, but I don't blame Disney at all.
I think it's a scenario where, maybe they didn't know. We don't know the details of it, but I mean, look, these are corporations that say one thing all the time and do something else. Everyone does it. I mean, the best thing to do if you are that upset by this, the best thing to do would be to contact your local representative, your local senator, your state senator, and to demand action on this. Demand action to hold China accountable.
Exactly.
That's what you have to do.
Yep, exactly. All right, so let's keep going.
looks like. And if you want to see the difference between the manufactured success of the highly overpraised due to identity politics Shang-Chi, just take a look at my local theater here in Escondido, California, the IMAX Theater. These are the ticket sales for Shang-Chi on the Wednesday prior to its premiere, and here are the ticket sales for the Wednesday prior to the premiere of No Way Home. Now, this isn't one of the busiest theaters in the world, but this gives you a good example. These tickets are actually difficult to get.
That is what you call a crowded movie theater. I wonder how that happened.
Fans are expecting a smart sequel that
Oh
raises
my
the stakes
God.
in a way
So
no other
again,
Spider-
well, so here's
Oh
the thing
my
with that, right?
God.
Is so he's in Escondido, California. I lived in Lakeside, California, which is about probably 25 minutes away from Escondido. That area, you know, there's theaters up there. They do pretty well. The AMCs do pretty well up there. However, Shang-Chi is an origin story for an unknown character, not 20 years of fucking storytelling.
No, you're exactly.
So
exactly.
that's it. That's it. It's just like
Spider-Man. It's like Batman, right? Now Blue Beetle, right? Blue Beetle is going to be a theatrical release, right? It's going to face the same challenges that Shang-Chi faced, right? A character
Yeah.
that not a lot of people know, and it's an origin story. Yet the Batman will do very well because the IP is people. You can ask anyone who Batman is. You can ask anyone who Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
Right?
And I worked at my drive-in for the first 3 Spider-Man, and then also Amazing Spider-Man 2. I was back working there at the time. And you know what? In those movies, they did well for us because, you know, like people came on in. I mean, Spider-Man 1, 2002, $114 million opening weekend, highest opening weekend of all time at that point. It held that record for a very, very long time because it was a movie people were excited to see. You know, it was a movie that people were desperately waiting for. It was good. It was, you know, regarded well, and it lived on. It had legs. That's part of this, you know, and one of the things too that, of course, this bespectacled idiot here won't actually say is that the hype for the movie was off the charts because, like with Venom, Let There Be Carnage, when it came out, that there was a Spider-Man connection to the movie that doubled its opening weekend predictions. It went from 40 million to 80 million and it ended up pulling in 90 million because the love for Spider-Man is hype.
Literally.
And that's the whole point. Like, that's the whole point.
That is the whole point.
Spider-Man has, and they're happily going to get what they have been asking for. There's arguably more action in No Way Home than Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It also has a better story, better character development, but I'll give Shang-Chi this one thing. It does have Marvel's Katie, and it's certainly easier to follow and has more heart than the Byzantine-plotted Eternals. Yeah, do you remember the Eternals? No one does, because Spider-Man No Way Home is making everyone forget about everything Marvel this year, which might be very convenient for Marvel. But recently, Nate Moore was out making excuses for the latest MCU disaster.
I think it was shocking. I think a little bit of that is expectation. Look, going out of Avengers Endgame, everything was a bit under the microscope. This movie was intended to be the first original after Avengers, and then COVID hit and everything changed.
Right.
In the meantime, Chloe Zhao won an Academy Award. Wasn't an Academy Award winner when we hired her. Didn't actually hadn't made Nomadland when we hired her. So I think the expectation on that movie started to grow, right?
Wow. Yeah, great point.
No, that's not a good point. It's called an excuse. Chloe Zhao winning an Academy Award doesn't change how bad the Eternals was.
Oh, for sure. Like there was no Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao. It was Chloe Zhao who did the writer when we first hired her. She's fantastic and wouldn't take that decision back, but I do think the expectations changed. And I think people, because Eternals didn't have one singular source material that anybody really knew, people started to map on their fantasy version of what the movie was without really having any context of what the movie we were making was about. And then look, ultimately you make something and you send it out into the world to be judged, and it's judged.
You see what he did there? He blamed the fans for having their expectations too high, and apparently they did. They actually expected a story, and they didn't get one. All they got was diversity and inclusion and representation. And blaming Chloe Zhao's Academy Award, Nate, dog, that was a terrible movie. The costumes were lazy. The storytelling was lazy. It wasn't a love letter to Kirby as it should have been. It was a love letter to your brand new audience that you helped cultivate. You know, the one that doesn't buy your stuff. As far as the U.S. Canada prospects go, Sony is seeing at
Never
least
mind.
130 million.
Real quick. Never mind. Spider-Man is an MCU movie. And it's an MCU movie. It's done by Sony. It's, you know, but still it's Marvel.
Yeah.
and $587 million worldwide in its opening week.
Literally, and it's not, the opening week's not even over.
It's not even over yet. Yeah.
It's not even close to over.
And so that's kind of the whole point here is like what he's talking about when he says the audience that doesn't buy anything.
And you know what I don't like, real quick, before you finish that, is Eternals was actually not a bad movie. It was, I think it was marketed poorly. I'll agree with him there. But I don't, and listen, it wasn't the most amazing Marvel movie that there ever was, but it wasn't as bad as everyone makes it out to be. It really wasn't.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm just going to wait for it to drop on Disney Plus in a couple weeks.
I haven't seen it. Jeez.
Yeah, it's just, again, the marketing didn't sway me, and nothing I've heard about the movie.
The marketing was really bad for that movie.
Nothing I've heard about the movie has really intrigued me. And it's not to say that I don't want to see it. I do, but it's like, it's difficult when I stream at night and I work at night and with my kids in the day. I got to pick and choose what I go see. Right. Spider-Man, I saw at 3 p.m. I made sure that was on the calendar like 2 weeks beforehand.
Yep.
You know, if I can sneak off and go see like a late night showing of it again, I'm definitely going to do it. You know, so it's that whole notion of I have to just pick and choose. And seeing a 2.5 hour long movie about characters I know nothing about that I've heard good and bad about is not going to really, you know, like I still want to see in theaters before it goes away because I've seen all the other Marvel movies in theaters and I don't want to like, you know, I don't want to miss one.
It sucks that you just, you know, timing didn't work out for you. But listen, Eternals, it's a visually stunning. Yeah, I get the criticisms of the film, but overall, I wouldn't say it's the worst Marvel movie. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't classify it as a bad film. I just wouldn't.
I've heard it's very lore heavy, and it's what I view the Eternals as is as very much a setup film, you know, and that's a lot of people.
A larger conflict.
And there's been, and that's kind of the whole point of Phase 4. Phase 4 has been hinting towards a larger conflict. Only in the case of Black Widow was it closing something off while still opening up a window for Florence Pugh's, Yelena Belova to come back and to do other things. And we know that. So obviously, you know, Marvel is kind of resetting, Endgame ended. They kind of reset back to zero. They're building it up again with new characters and some old characters, and they're building towards a new threat. And that is how you establish long-lasting, narrative-driven storytelling that keeps the audience coming back time and time again. Yeah. Not everything is going to land at once, but maybe it's going to land and down the road. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
they're playing the long game.
They always, and that's the thing too, is all of that is completely lost on this guy. It's lost on him. No, at no point do you see the long game conversation play out. It's all about what is the instantaneous thing that I can argue that is going to make my point stand out, you know, better. And I get maybe some of the same criticism when I talk about like the future of the Snyderverse and everything else. People are like, no, but you're not looking at the long game. And it's like, no, I am.
Well,
but
that's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about today. And I didn't realize that it was going to take us so fucking long to get.
Oh, no. Again, this is a bad video. I probably should have warned you about that. I mean, look, at this point, he kind of just like, he just kind of goes through and talks about the rest of it. The only thing I would say is go forward maybe a couple more minutes. You can scroll forward to where the next little podcast bit is, because he just kind of reads the article. It'd be a little bit further down. He's just talking more about, you know, all this other stupid shit. The box office, you know, and then again talks about how it's all woke stuff and other franchises are being destroyed, yada yada yada. Okay. See that? Go back a little bit, and this is what I want. Okay, go back. Okay, start from here, and then listen through the through that little audio podcast bit.
Okay.
Know what Disney did right after that. Our escapism has been poisoned by activism, and this has been deliberate. Razorfist recently discussed this in a live stream, and the important thing here is not him name dropping yours truly in the quartering. It's what he said.
Who the fuck is that guy?
That is Razorfist. He hails from Phoenix, Arizona. He is a reactionary. He is I know him. I do know him. I've known him for years. He
Personally?
Yeah, we met through Gamergate and stuff a long time ago.
Bad guy, good guy?
You know what? A lot of it's an act, but again, the act eventually takes over the person.
Yes.
So like
pretend for so long.
Yeah,
Live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Basically, I mean, there's a video that his ex-girlfriend recorded and put up online of him like berating her over something. It was very bad, and he's like, again, he's like miniature Dennis Miller, and he tries that shtick, and the guy can rant with the best of them. To be fair, he's very eloquent,
Right.
and he nails it, and he does some good videos. He does, he's criticized Sony music a bunch, and his music coverage is really good. But when he gets into the political side of things, he's very pro-Trump. He's very conservative.
Right.
Plays up that angle, and but listen to what he has to say, because it will make you cringe.
About what we do.
This is why I laugh when people say shit like, "Oh, you're just playing and reviewing video games. You're not really fighting the culture war." The implication being you need to be a political pundit. You need to be obsessed with adult things. You guys need to look up Antonio Gramsci. Gramsci is really the beginning of modern cultural Marxism. And Gramsci's stipulated that the purpose of taking over seemingly banal entertainment, at that time it would have been things like movies, plays, and such, is not to propagandize. It's to block off avenues of escape from politics. They want everyone political, because as long as everyone's political, everyone's outraged, which in the Marxists' mind, which Antonio Gramsci was, this is ultimately going to spur the class conflict, and this fills the coffers of the communists, and down the road, it spurs the revolution. So I want to make this unequivocally clear. You can bash fucking The Quartering, Nerdrotic, whoever, the people who talk about the latest woke thing and then criticize it. They're doing more for the culture war and to stave off Marxism than pundits are.
Yes.
Straight up.
This is a fucking joke. This is a fucking joke. This guy is a clown. I hate to say it. I know you know him or whatever.
No. I don't. Absolutely laugh in his face. I know the guy, but laugh in his face.
Why is everything a fucking war? Like you said earlier, creating a war to fight, to outrage people. I think you said it best the other night. They call themselves the rebellion, but in fighting the empire, but they have it ass backwards. They are the empire. They're the bad guys. They're the idiots, right? That try to get you outraged. He's talking about fucking what he is, what they are, right? And to say that Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, Doomcuck, they're the ones that are doing the most? Come on.
Because the Marxist tactic right now is not to move politically. It's to move within the entertainment and cut off all escape. Gramsci believed that Great Britain, of all the countries on earth, was primed for a class struggle on paper. But he realized the revolution wasn't coming, and he basically decided...
Matt, you know what this reminds me of?
Pain?
Cameron Pasha. Relating everything to fucking...
Machiavellian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relating everything back to fucking infiltration of government, and everything's like this political chess game. This, what do you call it? The 3D chess game?
4D chess.
4D chess game.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of, honestly.
It's the thing with this though is what. Oh, sorry. Finish playing the clip.
Is because people were relatively prosperous and they were distracted by entertainment. So if you actually cut the Marxists out, if you expose the corruption of the entertainment and expel them from it, you actually create avenues of escape for normal people. You hear people say all the time, man, what happened even 10 years ago? People just kind of minded their own business on politics and it didn't really matter. And now everyone's all keyed up on it. Well, social media is keeping us perpetually engaged to it. But more than that, the entertainment is having politics injected into it.
What we are calling out is the activists. And
all right, listen, I can't say that he's wrong about that last part there. I somewhat agree that, many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, people did keep their political opinions to themselves, and that social media has given a platform for political outreach. I don't disagree. However,
you're not wrong. It's gone that way, but it's not just, he's aiming it as being a cudgel against the left, when in reality, again, as we discussed, I think before going live, Facebook is a massive thing. 2 billion people use Facebook. 340 million people use Twitter. It is incomparable how much more data gets shared through Facebook and how more direct and personal it is, because these are personal connections that you have. You can't really go and look through public feeds as much anymore. People have it private. But if you're friends with somebody, you can see what groups they're in, you can see what pages they like, you can see what they share. And through that, you end up finding these kind of discourse in this conversation. You know, QAnon, for example, has been traced, its popularity in the country has been traced back to a very interesting place in recent years. Do you know what group QAnon tends to pop up in?
No.
You'd probably think like right-leaning ideology groups, right? Like anti-SJW groups or things like that.
Yeah.
No. Veganism.
Fucking no way.
Wellness communities. I'm
No
not kidding
way.
you. I'm not kidding
Tell
you.
me that's a joke.
Nope, I'm not joking. That is
QAnon
absolutely true.
came from vegan
No.
groups.
QAnon has become very popular because of the wellness communities. It didn't start there, but it worked its way in. And why is that? Think of like the astrology community, the people who believe that like Himalayan salt rocks are gonna like cleanse your chakras or whatever the fuck it is. There's a lot of things out there these people believe, and I'm not trying to attack them for their beliefs, but when you believe things like that, you are relatively susceptible for a lot of other things. I view it as people who are deeply religious. If you believe that a sky god is gonna one day return and ascend you to the highs of heaven.
Land.
Yeah, I got a plot of land on the moon to sell you, and I'm not against having faith, but it's like for me though, it's really about the organized religious aspect part of it. That is because that is where you find the corruption. I think people, the vast majority of people who have faith, or the vast majority of people who believe in like astrology or tarot or whatever, they're fine. They're good. They're good people. You know what I mean? Like they just want to live their life. They like what they like, and there's that.
Faith to be honest, faith gives good people a reason to move on and get up every day, and that's great. But it also, think about that. Every single war that's ever been fought can be broken down to some religious aspect of it. Right?
Oh yeah,
especially pre modern age.
Well, look at the Crusades. That was a pretty big one.
It's always a religious, motivation.
Yeah. But religious organizations generally tend. Look, it's all about money, power, and control. Yeah. It really is. It doesn't matter. I don't care what your religion is. Look at people like Joel Osteen, Creflo Dollar, the mega churches that go out there and they're just like, I need to have a $65 million jet. I need you to give me a $65 million jet.
And then they claim religious exemption on taxes.
What they do is they buy it and then they say that it's for churchy so then it's considered a tax write-off and it's not a personal expense.
Right.
So that's how they get around that. They just tie it all to the church and but that is not this conversation necessarily, but in regards to what he's saying here Gary's here saying we go after the activist. Well, what are you, Gary, if not an activist? What are you if not a person who's going out there and trying to change your position on people's position on a number of issues by proclaiming that you are correct and that everybody else is wrong? You are literally the opposite end of the spectrum. And that is
the same thing.
By doing the same thing with even far more disingenuous tactics. Because I'm fucking sorry. You know what? To sit there and say that politics and entertainment is something that is wholly new. Are you fucking stupid? Because I look behind him on that arcade game right there and I see Q. Q came from Star Trek. Star Trek, very woke. Very woke.
Very woke.
You know what? You see a lot of look, you got the Doctor Who back there. Doctor Who also a bit on the woke side.
Yeah.
Star Wars again is also kind of woke. It's very anti-war.
Dude, it's political. It's
all political.
It's all political. You could trace it back to the earliest films. The political motivations do drive a lot, right? They do. There's no hiding that.
Yeah.
And that's always been a part of entertainment.
Exactly. That's always been a massive part of entertainment. It's always been a big thing. That happens. People don't hide it. They've never hidden it. If you don't think that there's political ideology in everything that you watch, then you don't understand how the industry operates. But the difference, though, is that, in even Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers in this interview I was looking at, he had made the comment that these people that are writing this stuff now, that they just get handed it. They just get handed these jobs that they just, that they're unqualified for them, and they just get handed these positions, which is not true at all. I mean, look, Hollywood is cronyistic, nepotistic, but in many instances, you still have to be in a position to have known something to get somewhere, right. and to do something to get somewhere. I mean, like I one time, and this is true, I was helping out an acting coach with her social media. From there, she put me in touch with a former like a Good Day LA personality, right? Who needed help with his social media. The guy was an older gentleman. I went to his house. I helped him with his social media. And then from there, I got a call from Marianne fucking Williamson, who, if you recall the 2020 presidential election, she was the spiritual one that was running for president. She is a motivational speaker out of West Hollywood.
Really?
And when I got the call to be her personal videographer for about 6 months, that is how this stuff operates. I started off helping people with social media and ended up becoming a personal videographer for a future presidential candidate. Like, that is how it works. Am I qualified to do any of that shit? Yeah, I was, because I know all this stuff. But the reality of it is, though, is that's how it operates. It's, I need someone to do this. Who do you know? Or who can we look at?
Oh, I know this person. This person did this for me.
Yeah, so that's how it goes. It's not just you were handed something off of the street.
Yeah, I mean, they're walking down the street. They see this guy. They're like, hey, come with me. That's not how it usually works.
But, well, interestingly enough, there's an author by the name of Chuck Wendig, who is, I mean, he is a lefty. I mean, this guy's hated by everybody. He was fired off of Star Wars novels because of his tweets, right? And they never talk about, Gary never talks about that they ended up doing that, right? That they ended up getting rid of him. But the thing is how he got the job was he went on Twitter and he was like, I want to write for Star Wars. And someone he knew had a connection at Lucasfilm, and that through that connection got him a job writing, and he wrote the Aftermath books. Cobb Vanth that appeared in the season 2 premiere of Mandalorian. Timothy Olyphant's character.
Yep.
The guy wearing the armor. That's a character created by Chuck Wendig for the Aftermath novels.
Gee, okay.
Right. And then we got him in live action, even though Chuck is no longer with the company. And Cobb Vanth is a popular character amongst the new canon fans. So again, you can make this stuff work out like that. But these guys, they never think of it from that perspective. They don't understand how anything operates. Gary ran a comic book shop and snorted up all of his profits. So, in my mind, his shit is fucking. Dude. I'm not. He'll admit that.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Look at his eyes right there. I mean,
I wasn't gonna say anything.
They look pretty tweaked out. All I'll say is that.
Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you that I had an issue with drinking. Right, I've been very open about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Don't be sorry about it. That's why I give Cameron Pasha so much shit, because I know what an addict looks and sounds like. And Cameron and Gary both sound like an addict. And I'm not saying that they are, and I hope that they get the help that they need, or have gotten the help that they need, like I have. But I wasn't going to say anything, but he doesn't own a comic book store anymore.
No, he lost that, and again, he says that he's gone through rehab, and I don't look. I think my personal opinion.
I've been to 22 rehabs in my life, and I'm 29 years old. Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you. I have a whole podcast based on my trials and tribulations and recovery.
I'm curious. Do you get a punch card?
What do you mean?
No,
you fuck you. Fuck you.
Hey, listen, I'm addicted to fucking energy drinks, all right? So I know it's going to kill me one day, but I quit smoking. Yeah. So you know what? I traded one vice for another, all right?
Typically what happens.
I traded one vice for another.
But that leads me down my path of my point, right? So Gary may have gone to rehab, may have gotten the help. By the way, cocaine, your body does not become physically dependent on cocaine. It's your mind, right? So,
well, we can clearly see that's gone.
My point, he has traded one vice, drugs, for another, ranting on fucking YouTube about crazy bullshit. And you can tell just by his videos. His videos look like someone who's coked up. That's it. I'm not giving any I'm not throwing any jabs here. I'm just saying what I observe, what I can see. The minute that I saw this guy, I was like, I bet he likes uppers. So it just seems like he traded the drugs for ranting like a madman on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me though. Cameron does the same thing.
Look, I'll give him shit. At least, he's admitted it. But I do believe that he has traded one vice for another, and I think that that being addicted to the outrage, and I understand because that is something that I do fundamentally understand, and realizing that is where your mind gets warped to,
right?
That is what it is.
So I don't know if you know this, but when you do coke, right? So if you are addicted to cocaine, that's the type of person that's always on edge, right? They're looking out the window. They think the cops are there when no one's actually there, right? They're the person that hides their drugs in under a shoe fucking platform at their own house, right? No one's coming. No one's after them, but they're still hiding. Those are the type of people that get addicted to coke, right? They're always on edge. They're always mad.
So the question is, which one of those toys has the coke in it?
Which
one of those toys?
I'd go right for Gina.
I'd go right. Yeah, her head is looking away. Her head, she's in shame. All right, she's looking away in shame because you pop off her head, and inside there's nothing. So reflective of real life. Then he's gonna find
where the tokens would come out. That's where it's peaked under. I feel so bad. Listen, I hate to make fun of that kind of stuff, but
I know. I can be an asshole about it, but
that's like, you know what I mean? I've dealt with my own addiction. I can make fun of other people's because I've been through it. I know the struggle. I've lived with killers. I've lived with bank robbers. I've lived with pure junkies. I've done it all.
It's like the world's greatest country song.
Literally, I've done it all. I've done it all. But let's watch some more.
No, that's basically about it. That's basically about it.
Well,
it gives you the general gist of it.
Good.
Where
I know what I really want to talk about.
Yeah. I know. An hour and 20 minutes later. But the thing to remember here though is what everything he said in that video was wrong. A lot of it's verifiable. Other stuff is just it's just so rampant on the speculation and it should be labeled as such, but the audience believes that it's real because they want to believe that it's real. He touches on the emotional response. And that is why you'll probably see people respond to this by saying oh, you're just jealous of somebody with more success than you, because that is how they cope with any kind of criticism, but they won't actually engage with it. They will not talk to me. They don't like me. And I'm okay with that.
Of course they do.
But I'm not going to stop saying shit because I'm tired of this nonsense.
But it also brings a dark and grim comparison to the Snyder fan base, because even today I go it's like almost every day on Twitter, right? Is content creators are the worst, especially the ones that solely focus on Snyder's DC, right? In a similar way, they propagate and perpetuate this belief that the Snyder Cut and the Snyder DC will continue, when really, statistically, odds are it won't. And then they attack you when you say anything.
They attack me a lot.
Yeah, if you say anything to the former, right? If you say anything that says, hey man, you got to look at this objectively, right? Take yourself out of it and look at it from a distance. Statistically and factually, Snyder's in Netflix for the next how many years?
A 2-year exclusive first look deal. And then but he's doing Rebel Moon, which starts filming I think in March.
So we got 2 years on that.
Yeah, and then they're going to do Planet of the Dead, which I'm pretty sure he's going to, as soon as he wraps up Rebel Moon, he's going to start working on Planet of the Dead.
That's another 2 years.
Yeah, and then
now we're looking at what? We're 5 years in.
Roughly about 5 years. And then whatever else. Yeah, Rebel Moon 2, let's be fair, they're building up a franchise. I've heard, there's been rumors that Rebel Moon and Planet of the Dead are going to potentially like tie in together, part of that universe. I've heard some people make those connections. Sorry. It was Dave Pena who had said, it speculated that Twilight of the Gods, the animated show that they're doing for Netflix on top of Army of the Dead, Lost Vegas, that Twilight of the Gods, which is about like, Thor and Odin and shit, that could tie in to Army of the Dead as well, that universe, because of the connections with like the Olympus and stuff. Now, I think he got it wrong because really the Olympus is all Greek mythology, not Norse mythology. The two are a bit different, but I see what he's going for because Zach is trying to build up a world there. And again, as Zach has stated, and that it seems to get really overlooked, is that he views the Snyderverse as his original content over at Netflix, or original content that he's working on. So that would be Sucker Punch. That would be Army of the Dead, Rebel Moon, and anything else that's coming out. Everything else that he's done aside from that has been an adaptation.
Right.
And while they're great adaptations, he wants to focus on doing original work. So let the man work on his original stuff.
But okay, so how old is Zach?
Zach is 56.
I want to paint a picture.
He turns 57 in March.
Right. I want to paint a good picture here. So he turns 50 what?
57 in March.
Turns 57 in March. We're looking at 5 years. That means he'll be 63 at the minimum. How long do we think this guy's going to make movies? Till when? When is he not going to ride off into the sunset and enjoy the money and the family?
To be fair, I don't think he'll do that, and I'll explain why. Part of the catharsis from dealing with the death of Autumn has been to go back into film. He took time off to grieve. And obviously finishing the Snyder Cut was a very cathartic act for him to be able to go in, to finish this, to have it say for Autumn at the end, to be for his daughter, to tribute to her. And now that that's done, he can move on. He's been able to it's kind of like,
that was his like love letter.
That was his love letter.
Yeah.
And the problem that I have,
it was beautiful,
that with a lot of the Snyder Cut stuff is that Autumn's name is no longer even mentioned because it's no longer about her. Now it's about serving.
You're talking about the fan base and the creators.
It's
not mentioned anymore.
Well, yeah, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I might be critical, but that doesn't mean I don't like people. It just means that I have thoughts. Because I do feel that there are a lot of instigators in the Snyder Cut fandom. I think that there are a lot of people out there who have made this their entire identity. And I think that there are people out there that will practically do almost anything to keep it there. I mean, like, it's everything. People who go online seeking a group, seeking a community, and seeking to be accepted are not going to sway away from the hive mind. And the hive mind has gotten out of control. If the content creators that predominantly made money off of Zack Snyder and since the movies have come out, and that has essentially died down, he's kind of gone silent for the most part. They don't have much else to talk about. So what's left is the militant people on Twitter who are like, hey guys, this is your daily reminder that Zack Snyder is awesome, and it has like
300,000 fucking retweets.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And I dealt with this girl today who's like, she apparently she slaps on Restore the Snyderverse to some hats and makes money off of the community, right? So she perpetuates these tweets that are like, oh, big news coming from related to the Snyder Cut or the Zack Snyder Justice League. And then a bunch of people in the comments are freaking out like, oh, tell me. What does she know? And then she puts up another tweet and says, oh, it's just about the community. No, if you didn't want to fucking feel tingly inside when everyone fucking retweets your shit and likes your comments, you would have put, I have news related to the community of Zack Snyder's Justice League. But no, you wanted to get that all warm, fuzzy feeling inside when everyone fucking likes your shit and comments on it. That's why the endorphins, right? They're starting to click. That's what social media does. It gives you that neutron fire. But and then she attacks me. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't say anything about facts or anything. She immediately goes to you must be a creep because I'm a woman and you're a male. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, all I was saying, I called you out for doing what is it called? Deception. You're deceiving people in order to make yourself feel better or make yourself feel good. And it pisses me off. The whole Snyder fan base is now becoming what we didn't like the echo chamber shit. And I hate to do it because I love Zack Snyder's films, but we do have to look at it realistically. Realistically.
Oh no, you absolutely have to look at it realistically. You absolutely have to look at just the overall aspect of what's going on. And you're right. The social media endorphins are a big factor of it. But what really annoyed me with that tweet from that girl, because she had said that like 15 hours before I saw it, right. and then you responded like 14 hours after she posted it, and she came back and called you a creep. But this is the girl who purposefully shot a video of herself walking out of the Suicide Squad at the bar scene, which would have been the perfect time to go take a leak.
Right.
She's like, oh, I'm walking out. Like, again, doing it for clout, like doing it to feed into that side of the fan base. But I'll tell you what I really fucking hated, though, because that entire first post, you know what that basically boiled down to?
What?
You don't know what I know.
Oh, my God. Oh, my. Dude.
That is what that
fucking circle that was.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not going to dive in.
A ride, baby.
Oh, I did, right? I did that pretty well.
I love that.
I'm just saying that's basically what it boils down to is she was playing that side of things up. She was playing people by by insinuating.
And I remember that you and I said something onto that video as well. This is the girl that staged the walk off in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And we talked about it because that's what it's one thing to be a Snyder fan. It's another to only like Snyder's movies and shit on everything else that DC does. Like eventually we're going to have to accept that they're a fucking movie studio and they need to keep making movies. Zack is now at Netflix. Whatever happened in the past happened. We get it, right? It was bad. But we all have things in the past that we regret. But we still need to move on. We need to learn from our mistakes. And I hope, personally, that Warner Brothers has learned from their mistakes.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. If AT&T had not purchased Time Warner, the Snyder Cut would have never come out. And that is because they wanted to get into this is what I've talked about before. Why is it that when we talk about the situation, we don't talk about the fact that these studios, in the case of Universal with Comcast and Warner Brothers with AT&T, are owned by telecom companies. Legendary Studios is owned by Wanda Group, which is a massive company, a conglomerate out of China. Like Sony is a Japanese-owned company that has a lot of other avenues of profit. Not one of which is their movies ain't their highest grossing product, by the way. I think that's their gaming consoles. That's the PlayStation division and everything else. And so it's like, again, these people are in the business of making money. And if something isn't making money, it doesn't matter how many people out there are like going to freak out about it. They're going to cancel it.
Look at Alita. Like, do people Alita Battle Angel?
Yeah.
People fucking clamor for that shit on Twitter.
Well, and to be fair, the other day, Rodriguez, when asked about that, said there is still hope for a sequel. So and that's the director saying it. It's not like it's gonna happen.
I like that movie. Did you like it?
I love it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Alita.
I need to send off shit. I've totally forgot. I gotta find it. I bought because they had it. The 4K was on sale for like $10 each from Best Buy recently, and I bought like 3 copies, 1 for me and 2 to give away. I gotta send one guy his copy because it got moved and I couldn't find it, and I just kind of forget. Yeah. So I got to send it off to the guy. But I mean, like, no, it's a great movie, and look, the Snyder Cut's a great film, and I would love to see Zack come back and do Justice League 2, Justice League 3. But it's just,
and I think that's the problem. No, that's not the problem. I always resort to that. I think that's the point. The point is, if you watch the Snyder Cut, chances are you enjoyed it. That's statistics.
Yeah.
We all want to see more things that we enjoy. And it would be great if Zack came back and did Justice League 2 and 3. However, if he doesn't, we need to move on. Like Warner Brothers is a movie studio. They're going to need to move on from it. And what was your tweet the other day about like a soft reboot for Justice League 2?
Oh, right. So
and everyone lost their fucking minds.
Yeah. Like Mad Max like really went all. He gets really mad at me that he's really passionate. But the thing with that, what I was saying, Yeah, you don't know bullshit, Jarbo. You don't know anything. I called him on the phone after that. I have his number, and we talk pretty often. And I called him up, and I'm all like, "You got something to say, motherfucker? Have it out. We'll have it out." But no, he was just giving me a hard time.
No, he's passionate.
But yeah, but he's passionate. He's passionate about it. The thing is, though, is like, look, a lot of people get mad at me over the Snyder Cut commentary because I'm done pulling my punches with it. If you like me, great. If you don't like me, that's perfectly fine. I know what it's like to be disliked, and I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, give you false hope. That's not my job. If I see a pathway, if something changes, then I will definitely change my tune. That is why, when people use the phrasing, "You don't know what I know," or something similar,
Yeah.
and then they back it up when pressed and say that it's a belief. I have a massive problem with that. I find that to be so disingenuous because, you want people to trust you. When you do this as a job, you have a voice, you have a platform, and it's very easy to lose that trust with your audience. I know because I've done it, and I'm working to rebuild it. And that, and so now I double down on the truthfulness side of it, right? Or the more objective, rational, logic-based side of it, because I can at least back up my arguments.
Every single time.
Every time. And I also flat out say that I hope I'm wrong. And that if I'm wrong, guess what? People like, "You gonna eat crow?" I'm like, I'll eat crow on camera. I'll go outside. I'll shoot one. I don't have a gun, but you know what? I can find him anywhere according to like the left. And I'll just get one and I'll get a crow and I'll come home and I'll cook it up and I'll eat it. I'll put a little bit of Frank's barbecue sauce on it, and that will be fine.
But that's like the same thing with Spider-Man. Like I was the last holdout for a certain aspect of it, and I was happy that I was wrong. I really was. I
went into it like, I'll tell you this about Spider-Man. Like
but guess
knew
what? I didn't go in with fucking sky high expectations, and I enjoyed what I got.
There was only one thing. There was only one thing that I'd cared about, and that was in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Exactly.
And I had seen some of that stuff floating around to confirm that it was real, and that got me very excited. And then when I saw it, I was very excited, and I was when that scene was over, I was like, well, I can go home now. I'm good. I got what I wanted. And then when I got more of what I wanted down the road, when I got really a lot of what I wanted, I was like, oh my God. But at the same time, that was the point
where I said, I can't believe I'm watching this
on a
theater screen.
Well, but here's the thing with that though. Up until that point, like in the back of my mind, like I knew what was kind of going to happen.
I kind of forgot.
But I was okay with that. Like I got like the halfway point, and I'm like, you know what? If in my mind I went, if this doesn't happen, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm very happy with what we have so far. I'm very invested in the story, in the characters. And then we got that, and it worked out so wonderfully, and it worked out so well that I was very happy with it. But again, it's like, and that's the reason why, this is the reason why people are responding. I do feel, by the way, just kind of to touch back on the Snyder stuff, if Warner's had not freaked out at BVS, chopped out a half hour of it, removed all that context,
we're talking a different world.
We're talking a different world. People would have seen it. They would have had, look, the Doomsday stuff probably still would have been lambasted, whatever, but it would have given you a more nuanced take with Clark and with Bruce and everything else. Yep. And it would have been a much better film, and it would have been much better received. And then they wouldn't have altered what they were wanting to do with Justice League.
Right.
Because remember, they were shooting Justice League when BVS came out. And from my understanding, like, I think that kind of demoralized some of the people.
Yeah.
With the response to BVS, while they were like, either, they were spending 6 months shooting this movie. And then, then of course, had things been better, if, let's say, the situation involving Autumn had proceeded as it did, what Warner's might have been in a bit of a better place to postpone things, to let Zach grieve and to go in and then finish it later. But because Kevin Tushihara, because Toby Emmerich wanted their end of year bonus, and they wanted the end of year bonus, not because they were greedy and they wanted the money. I mean, that is part of it, but it's not all of it. The impending AT&T purchase was the factor, because they were under the belief that they were going to lose their jobs in the middle part of 2018. So they wanted that movie to come out so they could get their bonus by the end of the year to have a bit more padding for them in case they lost their job.
Right.
So it's like they had financial motivations based
But
upon
also-
an incoming regime. So it's like,
And
it's
now
just,
we're back at it again.
yeah, we're back at it again. And it's
Square
like,
one.
what's going to happen? Like, what's Jason, what's Keelar going to do before the merger? Is like, now that the DOJ has talked about that, is like, they're issuing their concerns. Like, I'm sure it's going to go through, but people are now trying to argue that Zaslav is the key, that he's going to restore everything, when it's like, probably not, because the guy is a bean counter, and he wants to come on out and I think he realizes that IP driven content is going to be where it's at. But look, I hate to say this, I really hate to say this, you're not going to see much in the way of these characters because of the cost. That is why you're hearing rumors that Wonder Woman is going to pop up in Shazam 2 as a cameo, and that Aquaman is going to pop up as a team up film in Wonder Woman 3.
Yep.
And like, and then just yesterday it was
condense it.
Yeah, they're going to condense it. They're going to treat it like Marvel doing all these team up films now.
Yep.
Because that's where the money is. The money's in the team ups. And guess what? They save money.
And the connections.
Because
people are craving that cinematic universe feeling where it's a storyline that's spread over several films, so they can invest and get lost.
Yeah, and
blame
DC,
them.
No, and DC has done everything they can to like move away from that. Although Jim Lee is now teasing a Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it's like, look, you are nowhere near setting that up. You are nowhere near doing that, and to even hint at that right now is so dumb. Because no one knows what's happening with J.J. Abrams with HBO Max and theatrical content. You got like the Michael B. Jordan Superman movie that he's producing.
Which will be
we don't know if that's going to be Val Zod or whatever.
But so what I've heard is that's going to be like the Batman, where it's set on Earth 2 or whatever the fuck Earth is.
I'm going to be telling you right now, I don't think that's going to survive.
You don't.
I don't think it's going to survive. Because Zaslav doesn't kind of like, look, they are investing heavily in Latino audiences.
Yeah,
and
Latino audience, people don't realize how big that market is.
It's a huge market. It's a massive market, and that's where they're heavily investing in that right now with Sasha Calle and Leslie Grace, and then the guy playing Blue Beetle, whose name I cannot pronounce. I apologize. I'm terrible with pronunciations. I'm not even lying. I emceed. He's from Cobra Kai.
Kai.
In 2011.
Zolo.
Is Zolo, that's his name. In 2011, I emceed a film festival in San Diego, and we had an entire Spanish film crew come in from Mexico City, and they wrote their names down on cards for me to name.
And you're like, this doesn't work.
I literally asked them to write it down syllabically.
Yeah,
phonetically, right? And I'm like, and they're like, really? And I'm like, listen, I don't want to butcher your name. My tongue is huge. I have so much trouble rolling my R's. I have a lot of trouble pronouncing certain things. I can't do it. It's just, I have a massive tongue.
Yeah, Jarbo?
Yeah. Well, happy wife, happy life. I'm just kidding. But
that was the single greatest flex I've ever heard. I got a big ass tongue, bro.
I have trouble. So I literally had to have them write it down. And then I'll tell you the other part of this too, is the lead actress in the movie wrote it in cursive. And I'm like, oh my God, why are you writing this in cursive?
Why are you
like,
doing this
it was such a thing. Where it was just crazy. But anyway, the whole idea here though, is that they are investing into that market. And since they are trying to get, like, I think HBO Max is like out now in Latin America. They're opening it in new markets, but the merger with Discovery that shock and awe campaign is meant to, like, it's going to push what is global. Right. And I know people want to say global phenomenon that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. And you know what? They're not wrong.
They're not.
But Harry Potter, and they've already been talking about, like, I saw something the other day about wanting to continue the story or do something with it on HBO Max.
With the cursed child, right?
Oh, fuck that. Oh God, I hope not. Like, keep J.K. Rowling away from Harry Potter. Like, just, I know she created it, but like, ever since that last book came out in 2007, she has not done well in continuing that story. Fantastic Beasts is terrible. this
You
new
think
movie
so?
does not. I don't care for it. I think
Really?
it's boring. The first movie was
No,
boring.
I listen. I enjoy them, but I'm a very visual. Like I like sci-fi, mystical visual shit like that.
Yeah.
So, but I will agree that I did fall asleep during the second one, and I had to see it again in order to fully understand it. Right? Because I fell asleep during halfway.
Yeah.
I was really tired, really tired. I can't make any excuses, but the movie did put me to sleep. So there is that.
I think
do agree. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I just feel like it's they look. This is gonna be their, this movie is gonna have to work.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, then
That
they're
franchise
going.
is done.
Yeah, and then again with J.K. Rowling and her current controversy, and the fact that on the 20th anniversary edition that they're doing like that 20th anniversary reunion special that's coming, she's not involved.
No, not at all.
She's not involved in it at all. Yeah. And, because of the comments she has made. So she's kind of been doubling. She's a billionaire. She's not going to lose any money,
She's good.
She's set. She's fine. But she might also, because of that because of Warner's cutting her out, it's entirely possible that she will just go, well, I don't want to work with you guys anymore. And I don't want to, I don't want to sign off on any new adaptations or any new series or anything like that, because Harry Potter for Warner Brothers, in regards to, like, let's say they started remaking the books, adapting the books, but for television. Ooh. Right? You want to know a fucking system, like a subscription, like a massive show that's going to drive subscribers. If all of a sudden Warner goes, so yeah, we're doing a Harry Potter, because it's been almost 11 years since the last movie, the final film came out, and it's like, look, we're going to reboot Harry Potter for HBO Max and adapt the books more faithfully, and and tell it over the course of a season. So it's going to be 7 seasons of the show. People are going to lose their shit. And that's going to be like, it doesn't matter if her name's attached to it or not. It will drive subscribers. And the other property that they have that's going to do that is Game of Thrones. It's not DC. It's just not DC. Because DC hasn't proven itself yet on that front in live action. To that kind of, I know people are going to argue with me, but what about CW? Fuck CW.
Yeah, CW is such a heaping pile of fucking garbage.
Those shows can't crack more than like 1.4 million viewers. Yeah. Like that's like, I mean, don't get me, look, here's the thing.
For older TV 10 years ago, those are good numbers.
Yeah. Well, for I mean, dude, here's Supergirl. When she was on that one season on CBS, she was like the lowest rated show on CBS with like 4 million average viewers. So they moved it over to CW, where like the highest show over there was like 1 million views or whatever,
to make it look better.
To make it look better, like, oh, she'll do better over here, and they cut the budget a little bit and so on, because they moved from filming in California to moving in Vancouver. And look, the film scene in Vancouver is lit. I mean, I would love to go to Vancouver and see if I could ever like get into that up there, because I would if I moved to Vancouver, which we've talked about when this whole thing is up.
I would love to move to Vancouver.
Oh yeah, I mean, my mom was born in Canada, so I got that. For like that, if you're the son, if you're the child of a Canadian citizen, that's someone born in Canada, you can apply for dual citizenship. So it's like, fuck yeah,
and get free healthcare.
Well, it's not the hell. I get free healthcare here. I'm fully covered in the state of Washington. Like, I don't pay anything. I don't know how the fuck it happened, but I'm like, fuck yeah.
To Sandro's point here, I think you're right. I think Gwen Stacy will be introduced in the future of Spider-Man, and Donovan, Superman and Lois is a good show. Fun, like at the core of it, it's a good Superman story, and I do agree with that. But the CW is stuck in their old ways of 23 episode seasons, when you could cut that in half, get away with it, because that's the norm. Look at The Witcher, 8 episodes, and it's fucking trending.
I haven't seen the season 2 yet.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I was thinking about taking it off the street.
3, so. I can't really spoil
much. It's like when I started watching Squid Game, I was like, oh, it's 9 episodes. It's going to be tough to get through. Nope.
Yeah.
Within like 15 hours, I was done. And
that's the problem with the CW is how many breaks they have during their season. So the CW goes on a winter break, a mid-season break, a spring break, and then they come back and finish the show. They've had 3 breaks during the season because you have 23 episodes coming out. And then think about the budgets, right? If you cut half of the episodes down and invested that money back into those episodes, you're looking at such a better quality show.
Well, it's not even that. It's not even that. Here's what they should do. Okay. And believe it or not, Once Upon a Time actually did this right. Because like if you watch the show Once Upon a Time, the first 2 seasons, like the first season was a bit of a slog to get through, as most first seasons of shows are, because they have to introduce each character, give each character their own episode, and then like start to kind of establish the lore and go from there, right? Well, in the case of Once Upon a Time, when they hit season 3, they divided it into 2 chapters or 2 parts. The first half of the season before the winter break was all about going to Neverland and dealing with Peter Pan. The second half of the season was all about Elsa coming to Storybrooke, and also the Wicked Witch of the East coming to Storybrooke as well. No, sorry. The Wicked Witch of the East came to Storybrooke, and then the end of the season was a cliffhanger with Elsa coming in, you know, and tying into Frozen. But my point is that they separated, they told 2 stories during the season. They had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and they were able to treat it like it was 2 seasons of the show.
Right.
But they were able to then make that work. And if these producers and these storytellers would start looking at it from that perspective, like if you are lumped into a 21 episode season, like Monster of the Week shit, like boring. It works occasionally, but for the most part, it
worked. It worked for Supernatural.
Well, they also had the pre-established idea for it. But like go to when X-Files was rebooted, right? When they brought that back, that was like 6 episodes, and it was all Monster of the Week, and everyone's like, no, why isn't there an ongoing story? Like, why don't you have a continuing story all the way through?
Yeah, Supernatural did have a story, but it was told through Monster of the Week kind of deals until its latter seasons, like the last 3 seasons. Last 5 seasons actually were not like Monster of the Week style, but that's very much how the show started. But what it did well was it told a story behind it. It had subplot.
Well, and I think that's Eric Kripke that did a great job with that, which is why I think The Boys is doing as well as it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, it's like because when he left, when he left that show.
Supernatural.
Didn't he go off to go do something else first? He did something else.
He did. He did.
It was that Amberverse show, wasn't it? It was that one on NBC.
I think so. Yes.
Right. That Jon Favreau produced and then directed the pilot episode of. It looked really cool. I forget what it was called, but like it had like 2 seasons and NBC canceled it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those high concept shows on network television are very expensive, and that was the thing too with the CW. Was what actually got me to stop watching, and I think what got a lot of people to stop watching was when they took it off of Hulu the day after. So they'd put the new episodes up on Hulu the next day, and you could watch them. But then in season 3 of The Flash, they cut that deal with Netflix to then put all the episodes at once, like 2 weeks after the season ended on Netflix. And I'm like, well,
it's called Timeless.
Oh, was that it?
Timeless was.
Oh, it was Revolution. It was Revolution.
Okay. Oh yeah, 2014. Yep.
Yeah. I think that was the one. Yep. But I mean, the thing is though, look, you go into The Boys, the source material is fantastic. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg as producers have done a great job.
The park.
That show is absolutely hyped. I cannot wait for the next season.
And he brought Jensen Ackles in to play Soldier Boy. And why I love this so much, and I've talked about it that on one of the first episodes of the podcast I ever did, was the fact that Captain America, that's very much what Soldier Boy is like a pun of, if you want to call it that. The same way Homelander is compared to Superman, etc. Soldier Boy is very much a different take on Captain America, and Jensen Ackles was up for the role of Captain America before Chris Evans, but turned it down to continue Supernatural. Hence, then Robert Downey Jr. called Chris Evans, told him to take the role. And, now we're getting the best of both worlds. We're going to see what Jensen could have possibly done and how it might have been had he taken that role.
And he's going to play a sociopath, though. So,
and it's going to be fucking amazing.
It's like, I don't know much about the character, but like, I know there's apparently there's like a superhero orgy scene in the season that is from the comics. They actually have a superhero orgy sequence, and they filmed it apparently.
Well, so remember when Starlight is her name, I believe. Remember when the guy makes her do something getting onto the
deep,
team.
the deep.
Yes. Well, originally that was not the case. Originally, Homelander makes Soldier Boy give him oral to get onto the team. Soldier Boy is a legacy thing, so it's handed. So the government basically wants people to believe that there's only been one Soldier Boy, right? He was in World War II and he's immortal. But in reality, it's a legacy. But they hide that fact. So when the new one wants to get onto the team, Homelander makes him do some sexual favors. That's what that was inspired from. But they're not going to do that again because that would just be rehashing the same thing.
That whole storyline from that whole Me Too storyline that they used in season 1. Is it just me, or should they cut the deep out like this? Like, I don't know what their plan is.
There, dude. Get him
I don't know what his plan is. I mean, like at the end of season 2, obviously, obviously something's going to happen with that.
The Scientology thing was I fucking lost my mind. It wasn't actually Scientology, but
no, but it was very much modeled after Scientology.
Yeah, dude, it was so good. But I mean, I can't wait. You're right. I cannot wait for season 3. That show takes every boundary and fucking stretches it to the to the core. And I love it. I love it.
It's going to be a fun season.
The one scene where Homelanders get Homelander.
Oh yeah.
The guy's head. I was like, I can't believe I'm watching this right now. This is amazing.
What about when they go to the mental institution and the guy breaks through the glass with a gigantic dick? You know what's really funny about that? Back in like 2000 and I want to say 2005, I was working on this radio drama that I was writing. It was a superhero parody, and it was called The Adventures of BG and Tua. And BG stood for like Big Galoot, and it was kind of like a Timon and Pumbaa sort of thing, right? Okay. Where you had like the fast talking little guy and like the big dude. Maybe Jay and Silent Bob knockoff would be more accurate, but like they become superhero. They live in this city, like it's like the last city on Earth. It's called Sky High City, and they live there. And they want, there are superheroes, but the superheroes are all like government engineered. You know what I mean? It's not like they're born, they're all government engineered, but they all get like different powers. And these guys want to get there themselves, but they end up, I think it was like they eat a radioactive burrito, and like that's how it happens. Like Big Galoot kind of turns into like a Hulk type character. It's very immature, but one of the heroes is a guy named, it's kind of a Mr. Fantastic ripoff, but his name is Erecto, and only one part of his body elongates.
I wonder which part.
Exactly. And then I was working on another character whose name was Milkula, and her power is that she can just like conjure up breast milk, and that's how she like sprays the floor to like make it slippery. and here's the crazy thing too, is like Tua's dad owns a chain of strip clubs, and how they discover their secret lair is while they're cleaning, because they got summer intern jobs working at the strip club, and they're cleaning the stage, and they find out that there's a little button that opens up the pole and they can slide down underneath the strip club, and that's their bat cave. I think 5 episodes written or something. It's like old though. We're talking like
why don't we do like a commentary, like a
it's so fucking bad though, man. Like it's
well, we can spruce it up and we can fucking shoot it.
It's so terrible. It's all audio. It's all meant to be audio and stuff.
We just do it on podcast style.
I just was trying to figure out like the craziest shit I could think of. I want to voice
BG though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I have to find it. That's the problem. I don't know where it is, because I wrote this on like a Windows 95 computer in the office of the drive-in.
It's on a fucking floppy disk.
It's on a floppy somewhere. It might even, I don't even know if they still have that, like if they still have that computer somewhere, like it might be on a hard drive somewhere at my boss's place or something, my old boss's place. But like I wrote that, and I wrote a bunch of other stuff. Like I'll tell you this though. I wrote a movie that I would love.
Adderall back then or something?
Fuck no, dude. I just sat there and smoked a lot of cigarettes. I mean, dude, my brain, when I get going on something, I write like 80
Crazy.
words a minute.
I do too, though. I really do too.
Yeah.
And I still smoke, so.
Oh yeah, no, I miss smoking. It's just like the habit there.
Writing and smoking is the best. Writing, smoking, and having a cup of coffee. Single greatest thing in the world.
See, for me, it's a rock star, right? For me, it's a rock star. I'm not a coffee drinker, but because I quit smoking 15 years ago, which is why I keep hoping that they'll eventually invent something that just like that's not vaping. That's like can just replicate it enough.
But it's non-toxic. It won't.
Yeah,
kill you.
yeah. I just want to like, I can buy. I bought like a vitamin B5 whatever B12
Yeah,
vapes
B12.
like vape you can get from Amazon. Like it was just vape vitamin B12.
It's disgusting.
It's something. I mean, like something. It was like
That's what they snort though. No, they snort vitamin C. I think, like in movies and shit. They'll actually snort like legitimate vitamin powder to make it as realistic as possible. And like, dude, that is no good for you to snort because it's going into your brain. It goes right into your brain, and that's how people do coke, is they snort it. It goes right in their brain and through their bloodstream. But vitamin C, I can't see that being good for you, even though it's vitamins.
Well, they also have like when they smoke weed or they smoke all that kind of stuff. It's called wizard smoke. So it's like you actually smoke it. It's just called wizard smoke. Like the cigarettes are fake too. It's all props and stuff.
Right.
I mean,
I watched some shit where they made this like contraption, and it's like a hose. It's like a straw size hose, and the way you frame the scene is obviously going to be key, and it goes behind you. So like if you're looking at one side, you can't see it, perspective style, and it's like this like air powered sucker straw, and the prop guy turns it on when you snort it, and it looks like, but like, that takes a lot. That's a lot of moving parts. You could just snort the vitamin powder. So I see why it happens, but still, I'd be like, I don't really want to snort this shit. Like, especially if we have to do multiple takes. I'm all set. Because then I'll be on Mass Ave buying Coke because I like the feeling of it. So, it is what it is. But, what were we talking about?
I don't know. Apparently, drunk 3PO and Gina Carano were hanging out yesterday.
Who is drunk 3PO?
He's a Geeks and Gamers guy. No, he's a Geeks and Gamers guy.
But Jeremy's D-Day Cobra.
Mm-hmm.
And that stands for what? Dildo Cobra?
I don't know.
I've seen someone call him Dildo Cobra, like in his introduction on Friday Night Tights. They were like, Dildo Cobra. And I was like, oh, God, that makes sense. But, again, the moral of the story and like why I wanted to do this segment is people like Nerdrotic, Doomcock, Geeks and Gamers. I was introduced to all these people via Matt Jarbo, right? I had no idea who these people were, what they were doing, until Matt showed me who they were. And how many people
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But the reason I want to do this is this segment in particular is it doesn't matter who you are, right? It doesn't matter who you are. Look at Doomcock on Twitter when he gets ratioed, right? As long as enough of us stand up to what they're doing, then we can combat their hatred with fact and truth. A few clicks will lead you down, as I said, an echo chamber. They source themselves. Pretty sure Doomcock's source is Cameron Pasha. All it takes to unravel their fucking web is one little thread. And you can do it very simply by sourced, like clicking the source. Who's the source? Oh, it's them. That doesn't make sense. Their audience, for some reason, blindly follows, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
Their audience follows them. Again, it's all emotion, right? It's when I criticize Doomcock and I've gone after him before, I've had a lot of people come to me and they'll say, like, no, he's telling the truth. And I'm like, he's not telling the truth. And like, well, I believe that he's, that he is. And then others will say, but he gives me hope. Like I've had someone say, I know he's not telling the truth, but it gives me hope.
Believe it.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's more or less a religion. It's more or less a cult. It is an ideology of individuals who are so emotionally stunted in regards to like how the world operates, right, and everything else that they and again, look, and I don't want to like wax too political here because I actually do have to go. It's almost 4 and I got to hear my kids. The big thing to consider here is a lot of it is, okay, I'm just going to say it, and this may not go over well, but I'm just going to say it. There is a massive epidemic in our country. It's been this way for a number of years where young men and boys are being left behind. And that is not a hyperbolic statement on my end. If you look at the current college enrollment rates and college graduation rates, especially with the bachelor's degree, it is at least 66% female and 33% male. Boys are being left behind. They in school and in early childhood development, same thing.
And it begs the question: are women more motivated or are boys less motivated? I don't think that's the issue.
It's not the issue, and I don't want to make it the issue. That is, I do feel that it's just that there is a difference in the way that young girls develop faster than boys.
Yeah.
And there is obviously like I look at my sister has two boys that are similar in age to a 5-year-old. Oh no, did he turn 6? I think a 6-year-old and like a 3-year-old, and I have a 4-year-old and I have a 2-year-old. Okay. And my nephews are great. I love them, but they are so rambunctious and they are so over the top that but my daughters are not like that at all. They're very, they're very chill. And the thing is, my dad, when they watch both of them, the boys will go crazy. But then if my daughters come over, they completely change their demeanor. They're way softer. They're way more gentle. And that's fine. They just, it's just boys are going to do things a little differently. But we've seen this in a number of ways over the course of the past, decade and a half. I mean, you have the men's rights movement, which generally gets lambasted as being this kind of almost some people have called them domestic terrorists, whatever, like the incels, all that shit. They're really not. A lot of it is about, fairness in family court. My friend who passed away recently from drinking, I believe a lot of that had to do with the fallout of his marriage and the problem with the family court system, because right before he died, he was posting about father's issues on his Facebook. And that's one of the things I saw that, and it was a red flag, but I just didn't think about it at the time. And I feel bad for not reaching out. Hindsight, obviously.
2020.
So it's not that, again, I'm not attacking women or young girls or anything along those lines, but it's I've noticed a trend, and I've noticed that this has been happening. And I've noticed that we have this idea of, again, the hashtag believe all women. You never see believe all men. As much as I hate Andy Signor, he was labeled as a rapist. He was labeled as all these things. It wasn't true.
When it was not true.
It's not true. And that ended up
worst things to be labeled as.
Exactly. And again, my whole point with that is that has a very, very high amount of emotional damage. And on someone like him, it only makes his victimhood complex even worse, which is terrible. But, he didn't deserve that. He made his mistakes, but he didn't deserve that. No. And that's what we see a lot of these situations. And so in this moment, so if you could get into these channel breakdowns, right? The demographic breakdown, you're going to see that their general audience is men. We're talking 95 to 98% men that are going to be between the age range of most likely 15 to 34. And you're going to see a lot of people in there who feel left behind, again, with manufacturing jobs that are going overseas, with coal plants and other fossil fuels that are dying up here in the States. You're seeing manufacturing and processing and all that stuff going away overseas. So all of these people who would normally go into those fields don't have the ability. But what does happen here is you have administration. The administration offices have HR departments. They have largely, I don't want to say secretarial work, but it's office-based work, and that mainly applies to women. Women have gone into those fields because when you guess here's the thing, if you want to go become an HR rep, all you need is a bachelor's degree. It doesn't really matter in what. It could be underwater basket weaving. You can go and get a job doing that. And I'm not criticizing that at all. I'm saying what we need to focus on.
I've always noticed that the HR people are always women.
Yeah, generally speaking. Generally speaking.
Always. I don't think I've ever talked to an HR rep that was a man. And I'm speaking purely out of my own experience. I've never had an HR rep as a male.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, it's trying to think if I ever have either. I mean,
not once.
No. I mean, I really haven't. And that's again, we're just kind of seeing this. So it's the development at a young age between the genders, whatever you want to call it. It's different. And then you've also got, as kids get older, they develop at different levels. You've got the fact that schools will now they cram 30, 40 kids into a class for one teacher. And that is insane.
Yeah.
Because a teacher
There's no
can't,
way you
can't manage
do
all
it
that.
all.
So you end up focusing on the kids that excel and you start kind of pushing behind the kids that don't. And you
typically what they'd be female if the
ones that would
lead up.
That's potentially one avenue of exploration. But it's also, again, like a lot of the as I'm just saying it's a problem. It's a very big problem, and I see it as being very systemic. I call it an epidemic. And it's something that never gets talked about because in our culture, men's and boys' issues do not matter.
Do not matter anymore.
And
that's going to lead us down to because I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Like it leads us down the same issue. Like it leads us down the same path because eventually the script is going to flip. Right? Like if now all we do is focus on the females, eventually the males are going to be like, wait, what about us too? Like I don't know. I see what you're saying though, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's more or less like it is a problem and it definitely needs to be addressed.
Right.
And the thing is though, that in our social media culture, trying to draw attention, again, it's like, I do have to leave, but I'll kind of leave you with the prime example of why I feel like shit's going to eventually blow up, right? Because it all does boil down to what is generally termed as oppression Olympics. Who is the most oppressed? Right. And a couple of years ago, there was this event in Irvine, California, where a number of marginalized student groups came together from all over the state. And they were there to kind of collaborate on like a competition that would like represent like kind of like social justice. I think they were going to do it in like Reno or something. It was going to be like state by state sort of thing. And they ended up completely disintegrating within the first day because they could not come to determine which group deserved the attention.
Oh my God.
Which group was the most oppressed. And so you had your different groups and they all have valid reasons to feel the way that they feel, but they could not come together and they could not figure it out because they were all arguing and infighting over who is the most oppressed. And that is in essence what social media boils down to. And that is how a lot of people out there, like, we're not allowed to talk about our issues as men sometimes. And I feel like that's a problem. And I'm not saying that to be misogynistic or sexist at all. I'm not. What I mean is like, if I talk about wanting to go to therapy, which I think is something everyone should do, it's kind of like, again, it's like there's that stigma that's attached to it. And look at like kids, kids are not taught to really, to do much. I don't like, they get sucked into like, I don't know. It's a whole conversation and I don't have time to go into it, unfortunately.
No, that is a whole topic. I'm interested though. So we'll get
this is the kind of stuff I've been paying attention to for years. And
we'll definitely get into that more, but thank you for doing this with me. I really do appreciate it, guys. And huge shout out to Matt. Check him out on $3 Theater at for Hollywood After Dark.
It is, yeah. It's basically Hollywood After Dark at this point. So
Hollywood After Dark.
Yeah, Hollywood After Dark.
A really, really great, platform, and I'm happy. I'm very happy with what you do and what you provide, to our fan bases. So, with that being said, guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you want to support the channel further, you can always become a member for as low as $2.99. We do appreciate it. And, all the money really does go back in towards giveaways, et cetera, et cetera. But, as far as that goes, I'll see you tomorrow night. And we'll have Marvel Studios editor Jeffrey Ford on the show. It's going to be really fun. And then Tuesday night, GWW creator Casey Walsh is going to join us. And, got a good week. We've got a good week planned. So with that being said, we'll see you next time.